Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this electrifying breakdown of one of the most talked about moments in daytime television history. Today, we're diving deep into the explosive confrontation that unfolded on Good Morning America between the brooding powerhouse Tom Hardy and the ever-polished host George Stephanopoulos. Picture this. It's a crisp morning in the heart of New York City. The ABC studios buzzing with the usual pre-show energy, but little did anyone know that the airwaves were about to crackle with tension thicker than a London fog. Tom Hardy, fresh off the promotional trail for his latest gritty action thriller, a film that's already generating Oscar whispers with its raw portrayal of a man teetering on the edge of sanity, strides into the studio looking every bit the enigmatic star we've come to adore. Dressed in a tailored black suit that hugs his muscular frame like a second skin, his signature stubble and intense gaze hint at the intensity he's famous for channeling on screen, from the tormented Bane in The Dark Knight rises to the feral Eddie Brock in Venom. But today, that intensity isn't scripted. It's real, palpable, simmering just beneath the surface as he shakes hands with the GMA team, exchanging polite nods and quick smiles that don't quite reach his eyes. George Stephanopoulos, the veteran anchor with his impeccable suits, sharp wit, and a career built on dissecting political scandals and celebrity soundbites, greets Tom with the warmth of a seasoned pro, clipboard in hand, ready to steer the conversation toward box office predictions and behind-the-scenes anecdotes. The studio lights hum to life, cameras roll, and the theme music swells, ushering in millions of viewers tuning in for their daily dose of news, weather, and lighthearted chit-chat. As the segment kicks off, George leans in with that trademark charisma, his voice smooth as silk. Tom Hardy, welcome to Good Morning America. The interview hums along for the first few minutes, a delicate dance of promotion and personality, with Tom regaling the audience with tales from the set of Shadows of Fury. He describes a particularly grueling stunt sequence where he dangled from a helicopter rig over the Nevada desert, the wind whipping at his face like 1,000 invisible knives, his body pushed to limits that would break lesser men. It wasn't about the adrenaline, Tom explains, his voice dropping to that husky timbre that sends shivers down spines. It was about feeling the fear, owning it, turning it into fuel. George nods enthusiastically, scribbling a note on his pad, his salt and pepper hair catching the light just so, projecting that image of the relatable everyman journalist who's seen it all. The co-hosts chime in with laughs, one quipping about how Tom's rugged charm makes every role believable, and the green room monitors flicker with pre-recorded clips of the film's trailer. Explosions ripping through urban sprawl, Tom's character unleashing a torrent of vengeance with fists that fly like thunderbolts. But then, like a serpent slithering into paradise, George steers the ship toward choppier waters. Tom, your characters often grapple with inner demons, Bane's rage, Alfie Solomon's cunning brutality in Peaky Blinders. Fans love that authenticity, but some critics say it blurs the line between performance and personal turmoil. How do you keep those boundaries intact, especially after your own, well-publicized battles? The studio falls into a hush, the only sound, the faint whir of cameras adjusting focus. Tom's eyes, those piercing blue orbs that have stared down monsters on screen, lock onto George's with an intensity that could melt steel. He pauses, the silence stretching like a taut wire, before responding with measured calm. Boundaries, George. Life doesn't come with neat little lines drawn in the sand. With the studio lights casting dramatic shadows across Tom's furrowed brow, the verbal sparring intensifies, each word a carefully aimed dart finding its mark. George, ever the anchor, attempts to reel it back, his hands gesturing placatingly, as if conducting an invisible orchestra of civility. Tom, let's circle back to the film. Shadows of Fury has this incredible scene where your character confront corruption head-on. What parallels do you see with Hollywood's own underbelly? But the pivot feels forced, transparent, and Tom isn't buying it. His laugh is short, bitter, echoing off the set walls like a gunshot in a canyon. Parallels? Bloody hell, George, you're living it right now. You invite a man on a talk art, then prod at his scars like a pathologist with a scalpel, all for that sweet, sweet Nielsen bump. The live audience gasps collectively, a wave of whispers spreading like wildfire through the rows, phones already out capturing every frame for instant upload to the digital ether. The co-hosts freeze, their smiles plastered on like wax masks, while producers scramble behind the glass partition, fingers flying over control boards, debating whether to cut to weather or let it play out. Tom's face flushes, not with anger alone, but with a righteous fury honed from years of navigating press minefields. The endless cycle of adoration followed by scrutiny, the way his vulnerabilities become fodder for headlines that sell magazines but scar souls. He leans forward now, elbows on knees, his voice dropping to a growl that reverberates through the microphones. I've spent 2 decades building character from the ashes of my own mistakes, pouring blood and sweat into stories that matter. And you? You sit there in your press suit, playing therapist for the masses, but when it gets real, it's all deflection and damage control. The confrontation reaches fever pitch as Tom's voice booms, echoing the raw power he brings to his roles, his finger jabbing accusingly toward George, who rises halfway from his chair, palms up in a universal gesture of truce that feels anything but. This isn't about me, Tom. It's about connecting with an audience that adores your work. George pleads, his voice straining against the microphone's feedback whine, but the words land like pebbles against a tidal wave. The studio audience, a sea of wide-eyed spectators, shifts uncomfortably in their seats, some cheering Tom's defiance in hushed tones, others murmuring in shock at the unraveling decorum. Cameras capture it all in high definition. The beads of sweat glistening on Tom's forehead under the unforgiving lights, the subtle tremor in George's hand as he clutches his notes like a lifeline, the co-host's futile attempts to interject with defusing quips that fall flat into the void. Behind the scenes, the control room is pandemonium. Executives barking orders via headsets, legal teams on speed dial prepping crisis PR, the feed teetering on the edge of a premature commercial break. Tom's tirade builds, a torrent of eloquence fueled by genuine grievance. You parade us out like prize bulls, prodding for blood to spice up your segments, then act shocked when we charge. I've lost friends to this machine, George. Good men ground to dust by the grind of your relatability quests. The accusation hangs, visceral and unyielding, drawing a sharp intake of breath from everyone present. It's the kind of line that doesn't just sting, it sears, branding the moment into infamy. George, cornered yet composed, fires back with the precision of a debate champion. If that's how you see it, perhaps you're in the wrong arena. This is journalism, not therapy. Fans want the man behind the myth. In the eye of the storm, with the studio transformed into a pressure cooker of raised voices and flashing lights, Tom delivers the coup de grace, his words slicing through the din like a broadsword through silk. Enough with the facade, George. You're not interviewing me. You're auditioning for the next viral takedown. I've danced this tango before, and I'm done letting you lead. The finality in his tone reverberates, a mic drop moment that silences the set as effectively as a judge's gavel. George's face, usually a mask of unflappable professionalism, registers a flicker of genuine hurt mingled with defensiveness, his retort stumbling out half-formed. Tom, that's not fair. We're here to celebrate. But it's too late. The damage cascades like dominoes in slow motion. Tom, his eyes blazing with a mix of liberation and regret, straightens his jacket with deliberate calm, mutters a curt cheers for the platform, and strides off the set, his heavy footfalls thudding against the polished floor like the tolling of a funeral bell. The crew springs into action, stagehands parting like the Red Sea, a producer materializing at his elbow with apologies tumbling from her lips. But Tom waves them off, disappearing through the side exit into the labyrinth of backstage corridors, leaving a trail of stunned silence in his wake. George, left holding the bag, turns to the camera with a forced chuckle that doesn't fool anyone. Well, folks, that's the passion that makes Tom Hardy one of our greats. Stay tuned for the weather. But the levity lands leaden, the transition to commercials abrupt and jarring, the GMA logo flashing like a distress signal. The audience erupts into a buzz of conversation, some applauding Tom's exit as a stand for authenticity, others shaking heads at the spectacle's unseemliness, their morning ritual shattered into shards of controversy.